Hello, everybody, and welcome to this little Ask Me Anything session today. I have Gary on the side here to take a look at all the potential questions coming in. So, Gary, say hello.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. And we're about to have a good time. So throw those questions in and we'll get them answered.
Okay, the first thing I would like to start with is actually some new updates to the GMB Maker Poster. And there's a version out. There's an updated version 1.08, but this is 1.7. And what I want to show you is actually a few little neat things. So when you have all your post by account, you can go in here and right click, and then you can say you can send the post to an iframe tool directly. You can open the post in the GMB site, and that means that you can actually open the post in the GMB. I'll just show you here. I'll go in a second. So you can actually open it directly here, and if you would like to grab this one little URL, a new URL up here, the business site URL, you can just grab that and iframe that or whatever you want to do with it. Then if you go to the GMB URL and you go up here, you have the possibility to grab the live post link as you normally would have, but you now have, if you're using the GMB website in the GMB dashboard as the website, you can grab that. Just take a while. It has to query all the, let's see here. So what it does, it actually give you all the various posts from the GMB website. So you can grab those and put them directly into Sheets if you want that. You can use the shortener again. You can actually use the index, or you can export them as a CSV file. So that's a new little smart thing. As I said, it can only be done if you have put in the GMB as the website. If you have put your money site in, you won't be able to come up and generate an error. So if I'm trying to just take maybe this one, which I want to get the website links, it should come up with an error message to me on a box saying that it's not linked to the you see here, the GMB location is not used. So the only thing you can do there is, of course, you can take the live post links like here, and of course I have done something behind the line for myself, so I'll show you. I made a small generator, so if I put in the business URL up here in a second, it says Oceans Mortgage Lending Business.site. So if I'm doing that, I'll paste the URLs in here, and then I'll go up and then I'll say generate links, and then I'll put in here. So when I'm doing that, bling, you can see it generates the URLs for this site there as well. So just a little extra little feature. otherwise, there's not so much in terms of updates so far. Oh yeah, I forgot that. We have here imports CSV. So we have now the possibility to import a CSV file with post, and that's it's in the testing phase at the moment, but it will be soon released, and then you'll be able to import post into the scheduled part of the poster, so you can schedule 30 days for even more out in the future.
Hey, Henrik,
so, yeah.
Can we break down for them the difference between a CSV template all accounts and CSV template selected accounts?
Yeah, this is only one account, so there's one location up here, and template all accounts, it will be for, let's say, all the GMBs attached to this particular brand. Is that understandable?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I understand it. Is everybody else clear on that? Can you give us a one if you understand what he just showed you? Anybody not understand it? Looks like everybody is clear on that part. Good, good.
And in terms of questions, I've got a lot of questions already from Scott, and it's maybe not so much related to the GMB per se. The first one, he said, should our website images be hosted on an S3 bucket and put in from our into our web pages by the URL? A lot of people actually moving the image over and then pull them in by URL to your WordPress site. And we had on the Common Sense SEO a demonstration of a URL image optimizer, where you can use that as a tool to have fast loading images. But speaking about Amazon, let's go back here. I don't know whether you're aware of it. I used to set up a WordPress hosted site on Amazon through the EC2 until Match pointed out to me this one, LightSail. If you go there, you can quite easy create an instance where you can see here you have a possibility to create. In this instance, you choose the region first where you want to store it. You can have either a Microsoft or Linux instance. And here you can see I have a WordPress. So simply just by clicking a few buttons, you can actually create a hosted WordPress on Amazon for $3.50 a month. $3.50. That's quite, and it's bloody fast, to be honest.
Hey, Henrik, can we address one question? I believe I've got the right answer to it. Doesn't the EN version of post roll off and become no longer visible as you add more posts? I believe the GMB site will display 9 posts, and once that another post is added, the oldest post is no longer visible in the EN form.
Take a look here. I'll just clear this one. I go back to a little company here. I just refresh this one. So if you go down here, you see this is from May, etc. Here's a lot of posts. And if I go over here, I can still extract them, even though I only have those 9 posts live on the. So here I'm generating the URL. So to answer your question, yes, you will only see physically 9, but you can extract all the posts. Does that make sense out there?
Is that clear, Scott?
Yes. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And Scott, did we answer your question about the S3 buckets and the images? I think we did.
Edward give us a 2, so I think he's got a little confusion on it.
So no. The question was, if you have a WordPress installation, normally you will upload your images to the WordPress installation where you're hosting and use the image from there. But you can, by using a full URL pointing to an external site which hosts your images, and put them in from there. But if you go this way, hosting your sites on Amazon, where it is extremely fast, then you're just pointing to another bucket within your own framework, which should actually speed up the loading process anyhow for you, because you're not depending on 2 different servers loads. So I have been using Cluster to host websites, which is extremely lightning fast, and it was just yesterday I actually created 2 WordPress installations on Amazon, and I'm testing those off. So so far it's looking good, because it's extremely fast, and it's not that difficult to set up the hostings. What you have to do is you will have to give each instance a unique name down here, and then you can tag them as well. And then when you hit the create instance button, it makes a full installation, and then you have to go into window, extract your password from that, and then you can just log into the WordPress installation and set it up as normal. It takes you maybe 3 to 5 minutes to do it. It's extremely fast. Does that make sense out there?
I believe so. I think the one thing we tend to kind of forget, particularly with WordPress, is they're giving you a so-called grade depending on the speed of how fast your site loads up, and this is a real advantage in that.
No, the one of the parameters is actually the page speed in itself, and on the Common Sense SEO show we had a special dedication to how you can actually optimize that. But moving from a shared hosting or shady hosting elsewhere to an installation where it's bloody fast, like the Google Cloud or the Amazon Cloud, that really give you some free points there. Terry says, yes, WordPress on AWS is really fast. So Terry, you have tested it, I believe. I've only used the cloud until yesterday, so I'll give you a feedback later on how it went. Then there's another question from Scott. Do you bother with persona entities or just make a branded properties, and do you assign them to tier 2, 3 plus? I normally make sure that I'm doing a branded ring for all my properties, because that's verified the brand in Google's eyes. Depending on what I'm doing, I might put in an extra ring or a few extra rings, but I'll make sure that they are powered up by not only receiving syndication from the branded network, but I use RSS feed to blend in so that the rings actually retain some kind of authority. So I find niche-specific RSS feeds and blend them into the mix. So that was that question. And then Scott asks, where should the same as schema and others be placed? Each and every page, home page only, as long as between, whatever that means. Oh, between the brackets, coding brackets. Well, schema in itself, let's go back here and take a local business schema. The local business schema, you will place that into a page where you have either your location pages or your contact pages, where you have your detail or then your NAP. And what you could do, you could say from the whole the site-wide pages, excuse me, you could put in an organization schema and then mix it in with location. And if you have several GMBs, you will blend that into the individual local schema, local areas pages as such. What I do is I will take the local schema if I'm embedding a Google map as well. So that will go into the between brackets. And what I mean by that is if you have a bracket here, then your schema comes here, and then you have the end tag of the iframe. Sorry. Like that. So if you consider this the iframe as well, then you put in the schema here, and then you close the iframe tag there. So that's what I'm doing. I hope that's answered your question. Of course, you place the schema in the header and using maybe a header plugin so that you can place them on the individual pages as such. Generally speaking, schema has to verify what's on the page. So if you put in schema, which is not related to the page as such, it will be ignored by the bots or by Google. So don't put in an article schema on a contact page, or you don't put in the what they call irrelevant schema on pages where it doesn't belong. And the same applies for snippets. You have to make sure that you're not spamming. And just for the sake of it, let's most of you know about the schema, but there is a rich testing tool as well. It's in beta. So what you do, you put in your URL here. And then you test the URL. And then we'll come up and say, okay, is there any potential for snippets? Mostly you'll get the logo snippet as a possibility, which is the one that will be placed in your knowledge panel, which will be finalizing in a short while.
Boy, it's in slow motion, isn't it?
Well, it's a big site.
But hey, they didn't host anything on Amazon.
So you can see CNN.com page is not delivered for rich results. So this one should be eligible for a logo at least. It's coming. It's coming. So I'm eligible for site link search box and oh shit. Pardon my language. Somebody has mingled with my website, but you get the idea. You can test whether it will be eligible for rich results, but even though that you're getting the check mark here, it might not be drawn by Google. It's just saying that, okay, it's eligible for it. It's the big G who decides what to show. So that's all about schema. And the same as, oh, sorry, just to go back to the schema, Scott, that's actually where you tell Google that this URL here has some related entities which you're pointing to in the same as section of it. So that's what the same as goes for. That's all your Web 2 properties or all related, where you want Google to make a connection between this one up here and those URLs down there, those entities down there. So it has to be, well, it has to point to some of your other entities that you want to make sure that they establish a relationship with. Okay. And no further questions in between down here? Nope. Another question that Scott put up is regarding the BackLink factory, not so much the GMB poster. And he said, can BackLink factory be effective in using a run of long tail keywords? What's the difference between primary and secondary keywords list from an SEO perspective? So in BackLink Factory, you have the possibility to have a secondary and a primary and secondary keyword. So what I would do is that I'll take my normal keywords as the primaries, those are I'm trying to rank for, and then I will have the long tail in terms of maybe questions. So if you're saying that you want to rank for Google My Business, that could be a primary keyword, and then how to get listed, or how to get verified in Google My Business as the secondary keyword. Again, it depends on your folder structure as well. So you have to think about most people in BackLink Factory, I think they put up too much power in one go, rather than saying, okay, if I have, let me see, just a second. So if I take this post and embed that into a cloud stack, and I run a cloud stack and get the output URLs from that cloud stack, and then I say, okay, I want to use those URL in a first step in a tier 2 layer of my backlinking. I will do a modest push in the first instance with not that many folders, but take a reasonable amount of keywords, not going too aggressive on the first shot. And then when I get the second output links, I'll use that, and then I'll build up my folder structures depending on maybe location or different variations of keywords, and then I'll stack that into the one, and then I'll go more and more aggressive the further out I come. I hope that makes sense. And you also ask how to use 100 shortened links from the RFF model. Does this help in link diversity? Not in link diversity as such, but again, as I said before, if you go slow on the first couple of levels and then increase your aggressiveness on the outer levels, I think that's a more wise approach than just hammering it away in the first level, because you'll see it is dancing quite a lot. Oh, I don't have that on my account there. So what I can tell you is that I did a test whereby I took a G site, and in that G site I was pointing to the money site. And the funny thing here, the money site was a DK domain, which is a Danish domain. But what I did was I target on the G side their English version of the Danish side, and then I hammer it with BackLink Factory, and try to see on the .uk search engine, and I actually pushed up the Danish hosted English version on the UK search engine simply by hammering with the BackLink Factory. So it was quite an interesting test I did there. Then Scott is asking, do you recommend in BackLink Factory posting the same sheet to multiple Gmail drives for competitive niches? You can do that, or you can run different campaigns. But again, the more diversity you make in terms of creating more buffers from other Gmail accounts, I think the better it will work.
Henrik, I'm gonna need to step out of the room for about 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. So that's the questions that I got from Scott so far. Any comments, ideas, questions out there? Or have you gone dead? At least there's a few of you left, so you haven't gone. Caroline is asking, Henrik, do you add all of the schema to the tail end of the iframe code? I'm not sure I understand that, but if you take, for instance, the local business schema and you embed a map, then I will take that schema and paste it on into that iframe code at the end. But if you're talking about having other schema which is not related, I won't do that. I think that's hopefully answer your question, Caroline. No question, just learning. Okay, good. Hopefully you have learned a little bit. Anybody out there, except from Terry, that has tried the Amazon WordPress hosting? Could be quite interesting to know if anybody have tried that. Well, then let me go back to this one, the schema generator. What I have been doing is, you will know that this one up here is the add ID. The add ID in schema definition is appointed to a fixed point where the information or the URL doesn't change. So I thought, why don't I, when I'm creating the local schema, I will take my machine readable ID and put it in here, because Google consider that as a fixed point, and which means that I'm always pointing at my knowledge panel when I'm referring to this schema here. So instead of pointing to other resources, I've been pointing to that, and hopefully that will help me a little bit in the rankings. It is difficult to see because some of the question is bobbing in between the others. So. Scott is asking, I wonder if Amazon VP hosting is further away from hacks and hacking attempts. I don't think so, because hacking attempts will always happen, Scott, because you will be pointing a domain to that. So hackers will always try to see, can I get in? So if you're using weak passwords, then of course you'll be exposed to hacking attempts. I had websites which I took over the administration of, and unfortunately we got hacked by some Arab group, and it took me half a year to see a decline in the attempts, but I managed to keep them away with 2 plugins, and one is WordFence security, and the other one was country IP denials, i.e. I weeded out China, I weeded out Ukraine, Russia, and things like that. And then the amount started to reduce, but still there was America and France still. So I actually considered just banning them as well, but I didn't do that. Yes, you will still be exposed to it, but it will be maybe more difficult to hack the backend at least. But I don't know whether you use any kind of password generator. I'm using LastPass, generating at least 15 character strings passwords in order to avoid any hacking attempt. And you can use that as well for username when you set up the administration password for the VP side, because that will be, most people will use admin or sysadmin or your name, but try to use something extremely different, which is difficult to hack or guess. So that's my 2 cents on that. So no more questions. So should we call it a day today? That will be one of the fastest webinar we've done, and you know the reason why, but we don't comment on that.
Henrik, I'm gonna have to leave. I got a small emergency, so I'm gonna leave you. I left you a small note private, so okay.
Okay.
Hey,
Good.
I appreciate everybody attending, and have a great afternoon.
I'm looking. Nope, there's no more questions. Just have to learn to use this GoToWebinar so I can see him properly. Karen, okay. Have a nice day. Thank you, guys. Okay. Okay. Well, then I'll wrap it up, guys, and have a nice day out there. And go out and do some ranking, rank some GBs, and get on with it. Thank you very much, and goodbye.